Hello, hello.
Gotcha.
Hello, hello. Mine's a little, turn my, here we go.
I gotcha.
Okay.
Yep.
Hit the radios.
All right. 121.9. Okay. Good. Good.
Do a ELT check. All right.
Did you hear anything?
Yep. You put it in, but you didn't listen. That's.
Oh, right.
All right.
It's favoring 22 today.
Yeah, we were using 2-2. You gonna do a run up?
Yes. Oh. No, I almost forgot. Thank you. Thanks for the reminder.
All right, park and brake we don't use. Cabin doors are locked.
Light control is clear and correct. Yes. 4-6. Positive amps. Suctions in the green. Radios are set. All right.
Yeah, probably the most difficult thing once you get your license is how do you maintain your precision and your sharpness? There's a tendency to get lackadaisical or, overconfident. So the solution is really focus on your routine, and insist on yourself that, hey, I'm going to follow that routine. And then the other thing you can do is go out every so often and fly with an instructor to, I'm as long as I've been flying, I'm still doing that.
Yeah.
So, okay. All right, let's go out to the practice area. We'll do a little. So have you read up on VORs, how they work?
I have a little bit, yeah.
Okay, good. We'll start out with that. VOR navigation.
False traffic Cessna 48753 is taxiing to runway 22, False.
346 Golf is turning crosswind, runway 12, departing.
Off checks. False traffic Cessna 48753 is departing runway 22, False.
All right, good.
Good. Got oil pressure. Airspeed's alive.
nose wheel's still chattering badly. I bought a set of O-rings for the shimmy damper, hoping Tom will rebuild it and see if that helps. Check the fuel level, the fluid level, and it was fine. But if the O-rings are worn, that could be another reason why it's not working properly.
I mean, oil's passing by the cylinder that's going back and forth.
Yeah. The hydraulic fluid in there. But, you know, sometimes what happens is these things over time, the linkages and all get a little sloppy. And even though the shimmy damper is installed, there's still enough movement for the nose wheel to chatter.
A little bumpy today.
A little bit. But, you know, you got a nice bright sunny day.
Yeah.
So you're going to get some thermals.
So one question I had is on my departures. Am I allowed to go off to the right, or should I always go to the left or straight out?
You should depart and fly the extended center line until you're ready to leave the pattern.
Right.
Now you can leave the pattern to the right or to the left. You don't have to.
That's my question. Yeah.
We can go left now. You know, I would say a more traditional way would be to depart on the normal pattern, right? Turn left and then go out on the 45, or turn downwind and depart. I think it's like common sense thing. Just make sure you look for traffic and let other people know what you're doing.
Right.
Let's climb up to 2,000. And why don't you come left to 360. It's a little cooler today, so the engine's performing a little better, you know, the airplane climbs a little better. I don't really care for cold weather, but one of the advantages is the equipment does perform a little better in the colder weather.
Traffic 2136 Yankee is
Still climbing a little bit. Let's see if we can get our level cruise here. Remember, put the picture where you want it and then trim it until the pressure goes away. All right, now if you look on the sectional chart, there's a VOR over here called Westminster Vor.
Okay.
And that's the station right there. That little blue box tells you the frequency and the digital or the Morse code identifier. In this case, there's also a little H there. Do you see the H?
HIWAS?
HIWAS, right. So let's go ahead and dial in that frequency for 117.9.
30 in.
Looks like it's already in there, all right? So let's see if we can identify that radio. So we're going to go up to the audio panel. We want to listen on nav 1.
Maryland, District of Columbia, Delaware, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina.
So the HIWAS is on right now. If you push that button,
between flight level 260
now it says
and
ID.
flight level 340.
Now you can hear the ID. So it's dot dash dash dot.
For additional details.
Let's listen
After
again.
this weather, within a 150 nautical mile radius of the Westminster and Nottingham VORs, recorded at 1512 Zulu.
All right, that's good. All right, so let's go ahead and turn that off. So we've identified the radio, the station, and we're going to use VOR, so we need to change this radio to VOR. It's currently on GPS.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and push the CDI. So now we're on V localizer. That's VOR or localizer. And you'll notice the needle's now moving, and the light over here says we're on VLOC. So if I wanted to go to that station, we would turn the OBS until the needle centers with a 2 indication.
Okay.
And that tells you the heading or the radial that will take you to that station.
If I were to turn 270, I'd be heading in that direction.
So let's go ahead and do that.
Okay.
So in effect what we're doing is we're at here, we've dialed in this, the radial 270 is the 1-2 that will take us to that station.
There's no airport associated with that station, right?
No, it's about 5 miles or 6 miles south of the Carroll County Airport. Now, when you center the needle and then we maintain this heading, we're tracking that radio. Now the problem is there's wind aloft. And the wind will push you one way or the other potentially. And so you have to adjust for that wind based on how the needle moves. So let's just fly this heading for a little while. And if you did this long enough, we would go all the way to the Westminster VOR.
Okay.
And when we got to the VOR station and we crossed over it, the flag would go from to to from. And you would then be flying away from the station, also on the 27 radial.
Which would be the same as the 2 on the 9
Right.
radio, right? Okay.
Right. Yeah, 2 on the 9 radio will be coming in from the other way towards it. If you're flying the radials correctly, in other words, you've got a 2 indication, 27, and you're flying that, the needle will move in the direction of the course. So if you'll notice the needle's deflecting a little bit to the left. The wind is pushing you this way. So let's put in a 10 or 15 degree correction and see if we can recapture that radial, fly back to the radial, and then continue on. So this is how we do VOR navigation. Some people, what they will do is they'll cheat and they'll reset the OBS and say, oh, if I just fly a heading at 260, that'll get me there, right?
Right.
The problem, if you do it that way, though, what'll happen is you'll keep going this way until finally you get back. You won't fly a straight course to it.
They'll keep pushing you off?
Yeah. So the better way to do it is initially set the radial and then fly the needle. Fly a wind correction to the left or to the right, so you track that radial
So
to the station.
Crabbing all the way there, right?
Essentially, yes. Now it looks like the needle's moving a little bit, so we'll just hold this heading. One thing you can do is you can cross-check your heading indicator against the compass, because this VOR station is set for magnetic north.
Okay.
So if you're flying to 270, but your compass is set off, you're not going to really be flying 270. Right?
Gotcha.
So you have to reset that. But you see how the needle's coming in now? So we're capturing that radial. Once we get back to it, then we have to shallow the amount of the angle of the intercept. We still need some to maintain it, but less than we needed to capture it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Now, we could also fly outbound from the station. And if I wanted to fly the outbound, let's fly the outbound 07 radial. So we're going to dial in the 070 radial. And we're going to turn in the direction that we're flying away from the station, but we have to capture that first.
Okay.
So let's turn to a heading of about 030, which would be about a 40 degree correction or intercept.
Okay.
So now here's the station. The bearing we want is 070, which is about there. This one's 075. That's an airway right there. Let's go to 075. And we're down here, so we got to fly over to that radial, intercept it, and then fly outbound.
Okay, I gotcha.
That's what we're going to do. So let's turn to a heading of, let's make it 030.
Okay.
Now the problem with VORs is we don't know how far we are from the station. And we don't know exactly how far we are from this radio. But we could find out if we turn this until I get it from. I'm on the 90 degree from radio right now. So I've got 15 more degrees of radial to capture.
Gotcha.
And depending on how long it takes you to do that, can give you some sense about how far you are from the station. There's a calculation, and I forget how you do it now. But when you fly from VOR to VOR, you know, you fly from one, then you fly to the next one. In the instrument world, that's actually how we used to do it. Now, GPS has sort of superseded all of that.
Right.
So you're on a 300 heading. I wanted you on a 030.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But you notice now the needle's starting to come in. So we're starting to get closer to that 075 radial. And if you're flying outbound from it, it's from. 075 from would be going away from the station.
I gotcha.
And if your heading is roughly aligned with this, then the needle will tell you which way the course is. So we're going to intercept that course, and when the needle gets to the center, then we'll turn to 075 and continue outbound. Notice that the needle doesn't move when you change your heading. It's irrelevant. It's only telling you where you are relative to the station, not the direction you're going. It's not like ADF. ADF will move as you move the heading. But now we're about 2 dots off, so a full deflection is 10 degrees.
Okay.
So that's about 2 degrees. So we're now roughly at the 078 radial, roughly.
Yep.
And we're still intercepting. The other thing about the VORs, notice how it's moving a bit. Unfortunately, VORs don't have a very precise indication. There's noise, there's just variation in it. They're pretty good, but it's not as rock solid as like GPS. You know?
Gotcha, yeah.
When you fly GPS, man, it's like right on. So it wouldn't be surprising if you're holding this thing heading and the needle moves a little bit, as it just has done.
Just did, yeah.
That's normal for the VORs. All right, we're just about on the course we want now. So let's start shallowing the angle of intercept, get closer to 075.
So maybe fly a 060?
Well, which way was the wind blowing?
It was blowing from 22.
Yeah, it was coming from over there, wasn't it? So that would mean we'd actually have to go past 075 to get a little bit of the wind correction. But we may not be quite to it just yet. See how the needle's just off a little bit?
Yeah.
So let's hold 065. Check your compass. Make sure that it hasn't precessed a bit. It looks like it's off just a little bit. Yeah. But if you look on this map here, this blue line is the 075 radial, and we're tracking pretty good outbound from it right now, and we're pretty close to it. All right, let's go ahead and look up the VOR for Lancaster. There's the Lancaster VOR. What's the frequency for that one?
117.3.
Let's go ahead and put that in.
Carmen traffic, Mooney turning left base runway.
And we'll dial that one in. And let's listen on nav1 and push the button for ID. This one doesn't have high loss.
Yep.
All right, that's it. All right, you can turn that off. Let's go ahead and take me to that VOR. So it's about a 030 heading.
Carmen traffic, Mooney turning final, 16 Carmen.
Now, if we had 2 VORs, we could tune one for the Lancaster inbound, and we could tune another VOR that's off to the side somewhere and look for a radio where we would intercept, and then that would tell us how far we are from Lancaster. It'd be a cross radial. So theoretically, if we flew that 075 radio out of Westminster all the way up to this radio here going in Lancaster, which is the
at 190.
It's about a 195, but it would be the inverse of that, 1015, because we're going to the station. Then that would be we'd be right there at that intersection. That's how you could define your distance from the station. There's also a thing called DME, which is called distance measuring equipment. And if the VOR is also a TACAN, then it's called a VOR TAC. Do you see that? If it's a VOR station, it has no DME. If it's a VOR TAC, it also has TACAN, which is a military thing, but VOR TACs also can do DME.
Okay.
So the way that works is it actually sends a signal from the VOR and it calculates the time it takes to get there. And based on that, it calculates distance. And it's pretty accurate. We don't have that in the airplane. We don't have a DME. I have one in the Cardinal.
Yeah, I just took a look at
Should we be, what's the Lancaster radio station? Should we be listening there now at this point, or are we too far away still?
As far as the ATIS, you mean, or
just the regular
the tower?
Communication, yeah.
Yeah, so we could get the tower. Let's go to the box here, and we'll go to the waypoint, and we'll put in KLNS.
Traffic 67 Hotel is turning base for 1.
And we can get the frequency for the tower is 120.9.
Okay.
Okay. So let's go ahead and put that in. We do that by highlighting it and hit enter, and it puts it in over there.
Okay, so it's on standby.
Okay, let's go ahead and pop it into the main thing now.
720, watch to the right. You can see the caravan. Roger, maintain visual separation. Pass behind that traffic.
So now we're listening to the tower. We're still pretty far away.
Right.
Right. So the reality is we don't need to talk to them. We're probably 25 miles out right now.
Okay.
So you seem like you've got a pretty good handle on how the VORs work.
Yeah, I've been messing around with them on a simulator, so I kind of know how they work.
All right, so same thing would be true for the GPS. So if I wanted to go to Lancaster, I would just hit direct, enter, and one more enter to activate. And that's telling me that it's 25 miles to Lancaster.
Oh, okay.
And the heading is 031, which is essentially aligned with tracking that VOR station. Pretty cool, right? All right, let's go ahead and set up to go back to Whiskey 42. How would I do that on the GPS?
On the GPS, I would go...
Lancaster Tower, Skyhawk 392 Lima 3, out for left base 13.
Skyhawk 3922 Lima right.
Yeah, you've turned on the map pointer. Hit the cursor button again.
Oh, there we go. Okay. You can do it by nearest.
Nearest, right?
I'll call you base turn.
Although
nearest
I don't know if I'm
airport.
able to see it or not. There it is.
Whiskey 42 right there.
Skyhawk 22 Lima, you give me number 2 for runway 13, following assessment at your 12.
You got to go direct. There you go.
Enter.
All right.
22 Lima is looking for the traffic.
So it's 185 is the heading. Let's go ahead and turn to 185. It's clear, right?
Looks clear.
Now, the Direct 2 capability is wonderful. It's also a bit of a crutch, and the problem is people will dial in direct to some place and just start flying, and not realizing there could be airports in the way, there could be restricted airspace, it could be all kinds of things.
Yeah,
So
makes sense.
it's one of those things that is nice to do as long as you know what's between you and the place you're trying to get to. And you got to look at the map in order to do that.
22 Lima, start your turn northwestbound for the downwind.
22 Lima is left base 13.
I need you northwestbound on the left downwind.
22 Lima.
Cessna 730, start your base turn, runway 13, clear to land.
730 starting base turn, runway 13.
All right, so it says here we're 15 miles from Whiskey 42. The desired track is 185. And it's telling me that he wants me to set this course over here to 185. So let's go ahead and dial that in. It's just a reminder. It doesn't change the needle sensing. The needle sensing only tells you where you are relative to the course. And in this case, there's 3 ways that this will display GPS. There's en route, there's terminal, and there's approach.
Okay.
The differences are how sensitive that full deflection is.
Okay.
It's 2 miles en route over here to here, 4 miles to 1 mile for terminal, and 0.3 miles I think it is for approach. So as you get closer to where you're going, this becomes more sensitive.
Okay. And it'll automatically switch between those 3 for me?
What's that?
Will this switch between terminal and...
Automatically.
Automatically,
Yeah.
okay.
It's based on how far you are from your destination. Or if you're flying an approach. Okay, if you put in an approach and you get within a certain distance of the approach, then it'll get more sensitive.
Gotcha. Okay.
I'm ready to go.
Now, obviously, in addition to going direct, we can